Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to a special episode of Lessons Learned, the dumbest thing I've ever done with money. My name is Suzanne, and I'm the head coach at Grace Financial Coaching. And today we have Shannon Buruchian with us. She's actually going to be with us for a 3-part series. So today we're going to do her introduction, and we're going to get right into what she has been preparing for us. So Shannon, so great to have you here. Shannon is a holistic health coach, but please give us your story.
Oh my gosh, well, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me. I just love the name, by the way. It's the dumbest thing I've ever done with money. I think that's hysterical. Yeah, so I'm a holistic health coach and a personal trainer, and I specialize in helping women lose weight and keep it off so they can fit confidently into their clothes. Growing up, I was an athlete, playing sports, running track, playing soccer. So fitness always came really naturally to me, but nutrition is where I struggled. I was constantly confused around what I should be eating and falling off track diets. And then oh my gosh, almost 8 years ago now, I tore my ACL for the first time. Done it twice. Don't
Oh,
recommend. Don't
no.
recommend. But I was terrified that I was going to gain weight because I couldn't work out. And that's when I found strength training and really fell in love with this idea of being strong rather than just being skinny. And it was after I hired a coach to help me improve my relationship with food that I learned how to nourish my body with proper nutrition and how to fuel it in a way that felt balanced and free. And so now I specialize in helping women create the sustainable lifestyle for themselves so they can learn how to eat and exercise for their body and their goals and just cut through all of this confusion and overwhelm in the industry and feel confident and strong in their skin.
It's I think people are finally coming around to the methodology, the thought process that we can some people out there can work out and burn off everything they're eating, right? But
Right.
so much of this is genetics, then coupled with what we're putting into our body. So you can't eat a dozen Krispy Kreme donuts every day and
I
not,
mean, you
even though you're going to the
could.
gym, and not do long-term damage, right?
Right, right. Yeah. Yeah.
And
And just,
everybody
go ahead.
processes food differently. Everybody's metabolism is different. So, hey, maybe your friend did eat 2 donuts last Monday and you ate the same 2 donuts and you're feeling it and she's not. But there are so many, not only genetic factors, but, environmental factors. And we can't change the genetics, but we can certainly work on the environment.
Yeah, and even just how you eat, exercise, and live does directly impact the efficiency of your metabolism, how your hormones operate, how your thyroid operates, et cetera. And so it's this very finely tuned, interwoven web that we forget that we are in control of our health to a certain extent. And yes, there's a genetic component, but the way we exercise and live is amplifying certain genetics and whatever the opposite word of amplifying is. That the word is escaping my mind right now. I apologize. I'm a little bit under the weather, but we can control to an extent the efficiency of
Right.
how our body operates.
Yes. As I get older, full disclosure, everyone, someone's turning 40 this year and it's not Shannon.
Oh my God.
So, but as I get older, the more of my female friends who are having thyroid issues. And I'm like, okay, I'm not a doctor, right? There's no medical advice being given. But part of me knows them, has known them for a long time, right? 10, maybe 15, getting on to 20 years now, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, you don't have a thyroid issue. Because I know how you've been living. You are so freaking stressed out. You are overworked. You are literally the one calling me from your office at 9 p.m. Like, so, and listen, could there be genetically something? Obviously, and again, I'm not a doctor, but so I see it, and I'm seeing it more and more as I get older. And I don't think that's really what it is. Or if that's what it is, could that thyroid issue, quote unquote, be corrected? Be fixed? Well, I'm trying to think of a good word. At
Yeah.
least be minimized if it is a true
Right.
thyroid issue.
Right. And this is where I get really passionate because it breaks my heart for women, especially, that the way the diet culture and the wellness industry has approached getting healthy is the most unhealthy way to go about it. Because we're told to do two things when we want to lose weight. And I focus primarily on weight loss because what do most women try to do for the majority of their life is try to get skinnier and lose weight and see the scale go down. And the industry will tell you to do two things: eat less and exercise more. And if you think of your body as a car, the advice of eat less and exercise more is the equivalent of asking your car to go across town with no gas in the tank.
Right.
And the issue is we don't do that for weeks or months. We do that for years. And when the car starts to break down and the check engine light is flashing and the wheels start falling off and the side mirror got sideswiped, instead of being like, wait a minute, this isn't working for me, my body is clearly telling me, because I'm exhausted, I'm depleted, I'm hungry, I'm bitching, my hair is falling out, my skin is a mess, my gut is
Yes.
horrible, I'm bloating all the time, the cravings are through the roof, that something isn't working. We think, you know what? I must just be lacking self-discipline and willpower. Let me go a little bit harder. And I'm here to say, wait a minute. If the focus is being healthy and if health precedes aesthetics, let's go about this in a way that helps you feel good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think the car analogy is phenomenal. I think the short-term analogy of the car with no gas in it is great. But for people who are car people, my husband and I have 4 cars and 2 motorcycles.
Oh, so cool.
It's the oil.
It's the
It's
oil.
trying to run your car long term
Yes.
without an oil change or with no oil in the engine.
Or no maintenance work.
And no maintenance done to it. Right, exactly. As a financial coach, I ask my clients about their cars because you know what? The car is probably the second most expensive thing you're going to purchase in your lifetime. Your home is an investment, right?
Sure.
That should be increasing in value. Are there going to be years where they decrease? Yes, but overall your home should be increasing. But your car is immediately decreasing the second you drive it off the lot. But you just spent 40 grand on it.
Yeah.
And so we have a $40,000 purchase. And if you are not getting an oil change every 3,000 miles for the older cars, every 5,000 miles for the newer cars, or every 7,000 miles for the super new cars they're just much better engines at this point, more efficient. To me, that's the long-term example. The short-term example of these quick, like low carb diet, right? That would be no gas in the car. That is so true.
Yeah. Yeah. As you remind me, I need to get an oil change.
Yes, exactly. But you're not driving cross country anytime soon. So that's good news.
Done that.
No.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, before we get into what Shannon has been working so hard on, I'm so excited for her to be sharing all this great information with us. We have to ask Shannon the same question we ask everybody. So, Shannon, I created this podcast to help people realize that we all do dumb things with money. What would you say is the dumbest thing you've ever done with money?
Oh my gosh. That's such a good question. And I want to sit here because I'm literally sipping on my Starbucks matcha latte, which is it's not even that good. Like, if we're just being honest, I would rather go to a vibey little coffee shop and enjoy some homemade version. But probably dumbest thing I do with money is having spent, I mean, there was times where I was buying Starbucks, not even Starbucks, but like a matcha out every day, spending who knows how much, a couple hundred per month, when I could just make it at home.
Yeah. Yeah. And the Starbucks one, that one you're holding is $7, right? $6.
Unreal. It's unreal.
The ones at the cute little coffee shop, which are mom and pops, which you're paying for the atmosphere, you're paying for the electric bill, you're paying for all that stuff. Those literally, the last time I was out with someone, it was a networking coffee. It was literally $9 for a coffee.
Oh my gosh.
$9 for a coffee. Luckily, he was a gentleman and he paid. But I was like, this guy just paid $18 for us to have a 2-hour conversation. Like, that, it's crazy. And that was just the coffee.
They get standard sizes now. You can't even get a large. It's like, but honestly, how often are we just spending money on like something for the convenience of it?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I've definitely worked with people. I think this is a great topic to bring up because I've definitely worked with people who have, the Starbucks habit. Yeah. There literally is a Starbucks on the correct side of the road as they're heading to work. And guys, if you think Starbucks just randomly picks locations, stop listening and go find another podcast. No,
you're not doing a turnaround.
They know exactly what they're doing. And when you see a location that is inconvenient for you because it's on the other side of the road or catty cornered and the intersection sucks or whatever, they're not worried about you because they did the traffic studies. They know how many people are coming from the opposite direction and will turn in, go through the drive-through and either come back out, make a left at that light or continue right on their merry. They know exactly how many people will visit that location. And that's why it's located in the spot that it's in. And when it's located in a friendly, convenient spot, all of a sudden we wake up and we've spent 170 or I've seen $250 a month just on coffee.
Yeah. Especially if you're going 2 times a day. I mean, how many people are getting the 3 p.m. crash?
Oh,
And all of that can be remedied by the nutrition front. I mean, that's something we could talk about another day,
yeah,
but yeah, I mean, I would say for me, it's usually
yeah,
coffee
yeah.
shops.
So what did you do to change that habit when you were like, okay, wait a second, I'm clearly giving Starbucks way too much of my money?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think a lot of the reasons people turn to coffee specifically, um, is twofold. One, there's an energy aspect to it. So we rely on caffeine because we're so exhausted, and it's also the second aspect is it feels very indulgent. What do people call it? Liquid gold in the morning. They're just like,
Yep.
I wake up and I make my coffee. There's a ritual to it. It feels like the indulgence of whether you make it from home or you buy it. It's the act of going and getting it and ordering it and sipping it. I mean, their branding is literally that first sip feeling. There's a reason it says, let's add a little joy to your day. The branding is impeccable.
Perfect.
So it's twofold. So for me, it's so funny. I didn't even drink any sort of caffeine until I'd say maybe 7 years ago until I was a personal trainer. Um, I mean, I personal trained for many years before that, but when you're waking up at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, you a little energy jolt doesn't hurt, right? And so I
Right.
didn't even start drinking caffeine until, the wear and tear of being an in-person trainer started to wake on me, and I needed that energy kick. Um, and then I noticed more and more that I was spending more money on it, and I realized, okay, wait a minute. I don't necessarily need the caffeine from an energy standpoint if I can get my sleep locked in and my nutrition locked in.
Mm.
Then me having a tea, because I'm not even a coffee drinker. I love just matcha, which is green tea.
Mhm.
Then it can be just a ritual I do for myself. And then it becomes something I get to do versus something I have to do or that I'm reliant on. So making sure that my biofeedback in terms of how my body is taken care of and how it's feeling and having those basic needs being met from a habit standpoint of sleep and exercise and movement and sunlight and nutrition, et cetera, means that it's just something I get to do for myself, which if I have it, amazing. If I don't, if I make it at home, it's fine. But it's not, I'm waking up and I need to get caffeine in my body because I can't even operate throughout the day without it.
Oh my gosh, that you absolutely nailed it. Get to do versus have to do, because 90% of what I'm trying to help my coaching clients do is get to a place with their money where they get to do things
Cool.
instead of have to do things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because all I want my clients to have are options. I want them to have so much money in the bank that if their company gets bought out, this is happening to somebody I'm working with right now, their company gets bought out and it doesn't look like this company's going in the right direction, that
Mm,
person can bail
sure.
and they can
Safety.
say, you know what? I don't believe in the direction this company's going, or I think this company's about to fail, or this buyout is not good for my career. But if you're living paycheck to paycheck, you can't leave that job.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want them to get to do stuff instead of have to do stuff. You just totally nailed it.
And I imagine for them, it's this feeling of safety. And I find that the correlations between fitness and financial health and personal health and wellness are so interchangeable, the
Yeah.
analogies and just how we approach it. Because when I think about being healthy with your money and healthy with your finances, we're also just trying to be healthy with your body. And when your body is healthy, when you feel freedom in your skin, when your body feels safe, it's well, then you have the freedom to go out and do all the things you want to do in your life, but your body's no longer holding you back. If your friend invites you and say, do you want to go for a hike this weekend? Do you want to go out paddleboarding this summer? Hey, do you want to go apple picking this fall? Do you want to take a family photo? It's you can say yes because you feel
Yes.
confident and safe in your body now versus wait a minute, let me lose the weight first. Or wait a minute, I can't do it. Let me save up the budget first. They're very
Exactly.
interchangeable.
Oh my gosh, it's so true. And I think also what is a huge thing that we're going to be diving into very shortly is if you treat your body well, you are more healthy. If you are more healthy, you're going to have less medical problems. If you have less
Thank
medical
you.
problems, you will not be calling me with a pile of medical debt. You may have bought the wrong car and not changed the oil more frequently enough,
We can only
but
do so much. I'm just
I know,
kidding.
well, yeah, not everybody is perfect, right? But if you're healthy, I mean, how does it feel when you get sick and
Yeah.
can't go to work and you're an hourly worker?
Yeah.
Like, And then what if it's a chronic illness? Or what if it's something you're eating that you don't realize? I can't think of the name of the company right now. I did one of those like food allergy test things a while back. We found out my husband, we both did it, was eating a banana every morning, and he was more than mildly allergic to bananas.
It's the inflammation response.
And we were like, what? And
Yeah.
so he no longer eats bananas. He will eat my banana bread, which I only make every so often. I've taken down the
Moderation,
sugar in
right?
it, but it is still a treat.
Yeah.
But we were shocked. Just little stuff like that, that was contributing towards inflammation in his body. And so just knowing that, but having the $280 to do those tests,
Yeah.
it's literally, it's a either a vicious cycle or it's a healthy cycle,
Yeah.
depending on which direction you're headed.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, so one of the things I pointed out to Shannon before we started on this little journey together is that my clients have really been struggling with food shopping.
Mm.
It's outrageous. I would say from the beginning of this year to about June, I got more emails, phone calls from former clients, current clients saying, I can't get groceries to fit into my budget. And what is going on? Like, I'm losing my mind. Am I crazy? And sure enough, on August of last month, it was August 11th, this article came out. And let me tell you, this sums up the food grocery shopping crisis I am seeing behind the scenes. The typical American, this is CNN.com, CNN Business. The typical American household spent $709 more in July of 2023 than they did just 2 years ago for the exact same goods and services. So if that means your grocery shopping is up by $709, or it's a combination of your grocery shopping is up by $709, plus your housekeeper is now charging you $300 instead of $200. What are these things that you're paying for? We have air filters in our house. We pay for that. The price of the air filters has gone up when we change out the air filters. It's a combination of all these things. So it's certainly not just groceries. But when you go to ring up exactly the same thing that you've been buying every week for the last 4 years, and it's $50 more, this is a huge concern.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
Yeah.
it's concerning and frustrating because one of the reasons I'm so passionate about navigating nutrition with clients is it's something that you interact with every single day. We can't take grocery shopping out of the budget, right? And it's one of the biggest influences we have on our overall health. I mean, when we think about even just having a healthy relationship with food, you interacting with food, breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, coffee, family gatherings, holidays. It's September at the time we're talking. We have the holidays around the corner. You know, we need to figure out a way to make it work within our budget and also in a way that supports our overall health for that long-term benefit that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are some of the things that you have if you had a client who has, I'm sure somebody's brought this to your attention before, but like, hey Shannon, this stuff's expensive. Like
Yeah.
this fresh stuff you're having me buy is expensive. Have you ever had that come up where a client has said, this is way more than the ramen noodles I used to buy for lunch every day?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it's twofold because we have the reality that the cost of living is rising. And we have the misconception that eating healthy has to be expensive. You do not have to shop at Whole Foods to be a healthy individual. you know,
Maybe
I don't
I'm
shop
gonna
at Whole Foods.
I'm gonna rename this episode that.
Yeah, yeah, you don't, right? Like you can go to whatever local store is in your area and find healthy options and reach your fitness goals or just prioritize your health in a budget friendly manner.
Yeah.
That being said, we can do so strategically to minimize money being wasted by food that we're not using. One of the biggest things that we see is that a lot of people, especially when they start a fitness program or a meal plan, is for the purpose of losing weight, building muscle, whatever their fitness goal may be, even just getting healthier. They think that they have to purchase everything from scratch, everything fresh, and cook it all from scratch. And so they go to the grocery store and they stock up on the fresh broccoli and the fresh produce and the lean proteins and the fish and all of it. And then it goes home with them and it sits in their fridge and then they're busy, so they don't want to cook the meal from scratch. And then 3 days go by and the fruit goes bad, and then they're just tossing it in the garbage. So
Yep.
is it really that the food is expensive? And yes, there's the reality of the situation. Or is there also the underlying scenario of what you are purchasing you're not using, what you are
Mhm.
purchasing is going bad and being wasted, or what you're purchasing, you are purchasing for the sake of convenience because we pay extra for food being pre-chopped, pre-cooked, etc. And can we go about it in a way that helps minimize the unwanted cost, maximizes your time in the grocery store, and maximizes your time outside the grocery store to make it as easy as possible for you?
Oh, I love that. I love that. It's so true with the throwing out of food for sure. I've definitely and then the trade-off for that is when people figure out that they're throwing out food, then maybe they don't buy the fresh stuff as often and maybe they're buying processed canned stuff because they're like, well, that can sit on the shelf and I'm not going to feel bad if I have to, I'm not going to have to throw it out. It's going to sit in the
Right.
pantry. So that may be a trade-off there. But one of the things I know that you subscribe to is the rule of threes, which I
Yes.
think is great because the layout of a grocery shopping list can pretty much be broken down into this. And if you're
Yes.
going weekly, which by the way, guys, I love what you said about not spending time in the grocery store. You should not be going to the grocery store more than once a week. If you know what you're buying, if you have a plan, you should not be stopping on your drive home from work. Now, listen, if you live in a big city, I know my brother still lives in New York. Space is a premium. So just like Europeans who walk home from work, stop at the market, and get exactly what they're making for dinner that night, that does exist in some areas of the country. The majority of people who are listening to this have a vehicle, live in a city that is probably not super walkable, and are driving to and from the grocery store.
Yeah.
But you still should not be going more than once a week if that is you, because you can plan it, right? With the rule of threes, you can plan exactly what you're eating for that week and then do the exact same thing next week. Switch it up a little bit. So, how does the rule of three work?
Yeah, I love that you brought this up, and I'll touch on that in a second. I just want to circle back. I would say the only you shouldn't have to go to the grocery shop more than one time a week. That being said, if you are going once a week, you need to make sure that the stuff that you're purchasing will last the entire time. If you are purchasing it and it's not lasting, and it would behoove you to go more frequently and purchase less for the sake of it being fresh, or going to, let's say, a farmer's market or somewhere local where you can get a deal, there could be a cost benefit of that.
Yeah,
Um,
I would agree with that for sure. Yeah, if it's going to save you on the food waste side.
yes.
But in terms of these running in and oh, I forgot bread one day and I forgot milk the next day. Sorry, I
And
forgot
then
milk the
suddenly
next
there's
day.
6 things in my cart. They're like, "How did
And
these get there?" You
and
know?
now I'm paying $70 on Tuesday, on Wednesday, and Thursday.
Exactly.
That's the kind of stuff that we want to make sure we're trying to
Yeah.
avoid.
Can I add that to the second dumbest thing I've ever done with money? Is
Go to the
bringing
grocery
into
store
Trader
every day.
Joe's, you know?
Absolutely,
But
we'll
it's
mark
so
it down
good,
for the
you
next
know?
one.
Yeah. Going grocery shopping with my niece and my nephew, and they're like, "But we need this." And I'm like, "But
Oh
we
my
don't," you
god.
know?
Yes,
Um,
yes.
so the rule of threes is a meal planning strategy that I utilize with my clients, because when we think about nourishing our bodies, and I always talk about nourishing our bodies versus eating a certain way because health is the priority here. The first step to nourish our bodies is having healthy food in the house, right? And which starts all the way back from, do I even have healthy food in the house? Am I going grocery shopping? Am I picking up things that are going to support me long term? And so the rule of threes is a strategy I created just to streamline that entire process. Whether you are someone who feels like you are good at cooking, you are not good at cooking, anyone in my world knows, like, cooking is not the thing that I love. Some people are built for it. It is not me. Like, I just want to
Mhm.
keep it simple. I want to keep it streamlined. Don't make me look up a Pinterest recipe. I don't want to open a cookbook. It's just not me. Take it or leave it. Love me for who I am. So if I can streamline it as much as possible, I know that when I go to the grocery store, I pick up X, Y, and Z. I go home, I can throw it all together in various different ways to make sure that I'm not
Okay.
getting bored with what I'm eating, and it doesn't have to be elaborate or fancy. So the rule of threes is saying, when you go to the grocery store, and let's back up 1 second. When we're talking about nutrition, the three main macronutrients are protein, carbs, and fats. Okay.
Mhm.
When you are focusing on building meals for the sake of feeling full, satisfied, and keeping your energy up, I want you to have a protein, a vegetable, a carb, and fat on your dish at every eating opportunity.
Alrighty.
Okay? A protein, a veggie, a carb, and a fat. So when we're talking about going to the grocery store, I want you to pick up 3 options of a protein, a veggie, a carb, and a fat, and I will add in a fruit.
Okay.
Okay. This way, we've made this super simple for you. Is there's gonna be a download at the end of this podcast that you can actually go through, work through. It'll give you a list of food ideas. So we'll make it super simple on you. There's all the guesswork has been taken out of it. Let's say, for example, when I'm thinking of 3 proteins, I'm gonna pick chicken, eggs, and salmon for the week. Maybe it's on sale. Maybe I'm buying it frozen so it lasts longer. Maybe I have a coupon, whatever that looks like. For carbs, make it super simple. Let's say I'm gonna have sweet potatoes, rice, and oatmeal. Okay. Veggies, maybe I'll pick broccoli, carrots, and squash. Maybe I'm
Mhm.
thinking, okay, we're going into fall. Maybe squash is more in season, so it's going to be a little bit cheaper, starting to think outside the
Yes.
box, right? Fruit, okay, maybe it's blueberries, apples, and bananas, and fats. Let's say you know that you have avocado already on hand from last week that you didn't use. Maybe you have olive oil in the house that you don't need to pick up, so that's already taken care of. And you're like, you know what? I'm just going to pick up some flax seeds this week. Okay. Now, when you're building out your meals, you just pick one from each category and pair it together. And now you've built
Okay.
your meals for the week. And the cool part is that if we were to then change cooking methods, or we change seasonings, or we add in sauces, the there are endless dishes that you can make with the same exact ingredients to switch up what you're having without having to purchase more. You could
Oh,
use
I
an
love
air
that.
fryer one night. You could grill one night. You could put it in the oven one night. You can make a stew one night, all with the same ingredients. Add different seasonings, add different sauces, add different herbs. And then this way, you're never getting bored with food. And we're keeping it super simple that you probably only have to go once a week. And you're nourishing your body in a way that's going to help keep your energy up. So we're going to minimize that unwanted snacking. We're not going to be relying on so much more caffeine. We're not going to be reaching for the candy at the end of the day. And you're also not going to be overeating because you're ensuring that you feel full and regulating your appetite, which is going to support weight loss goals or just overall sustainable health.
I love that. That's so great. It is one of the it's one of those things that mom used to stay home, dad used to go to work, and somebody used to be able to spend a lot of time in the kitchen. And these in this day and age, that's just not the majority of households anymore. And
Yeah.
so by removing the guesswork, setting up the meal plan, one of my favorite things about this download that Shannon is going to be offering us is that it has the shopping list.
Yes.
I am a
Yes.
huge proponent of if you write it down, this is what you're going to buy. And keeping that list. I mean, this is something that you guys keep this on your phone. Save it as a picture, save it as a
Yeah.
file on your phone.
Yeah.
And like even if you forget the list and you're like, oh my gosh, what did Shannon say was a good fat? I don't have one in the house. What I can't remember it. This is stuff you're going to be able to keep on your phone. And it's going to be super simple and it's going to be 3 of each. And she already has it laid out for us. So
Yeah.
it's just the fact of the matter that we can't be spending a lot of time on this anymore. Whereas with one parent home back in the day, that was really part of the responsibility of running the household. We're now doing it all, right? Or we're trying to do it all. And so these tools are going to make it so much easier, so much more simple. And guys, the benefit is not just the cost savings, it's going to be the health,
Yeah.
the increase in your health and the increase in your energy and maybe the decrease in a few pounds,
Yeah. It
depending
doesn't
on what
hurt if
we're
that's a
thinking,
goal, you know?
depending on what our goals are.
It
Maybe that's
happens as a byproduct.
exactly. We have all these wonderful things that are happening just by making this small change, keeping this list on us in some format and focusing on our energies when we're at the grocery store because we're going,
Yeah.
right? We're either buying ramen or we're buying apples that are in season. We're either buying, we're either going and stopping for a bagel or a sandwich at the deli with
Yeah.
white bread, or we're going and we're getting we're making grilled chicken and broccoli the night before. One thing I do want to point out is so many times when people hear meal planning, they think of meal prep in the
Yeah.
form of they made 7 of them and now it's all
Container.
in the same Tupperware container. I want to make the distinction. That is not what
Yeah.
Shannon's talking about. So how would you differentiate those two things?
Yeah. So meal prep is this thing where we believe that we need to spend our entire Sunday away from our family, slaving in the kitchen, cooking our the food in these little tiny containers and packaging them up to bring our lunches to work. And it just sounds awful, so nobody does it. I'm just talking about having a rhyme and reason so you know what you're going to the grocery store to pick up, so you can get in, get out, and get on with your day. Just planning the ideas of what you want to have in the house and some semblance of a meal you're going to throw together throughout the week that you can pick and pair and make in real time. So there's a strategy and a structure to it, because time is also money. So how much time are you spending stressing over food, which is impacting your health, right? Obsessing over calories, which is impacting your health, throwing food out, which is, wasting money. The one thing I wanted to touch on too is that a lot of times when we think that healthy eating is expensive, just the simple act of having, and this takes moments.
Mm.
You could literally plan an entire week worth of meals, just choosing 3 of each option, pairing them together, right? Throwing some seasoning on them, pop it in the oven, cook it, it's done, it's now in the fridge. I prefer to use the term batch cooking. So when I'm
Ah,
cooking, I'm either going to always make extra, so there's always leftovers. Every single time I cook, there's leftovers. And then I freeze them. Don't leave the leftovers in the fridge because it's going to go back in 1 or 2 days. Cook the leftovers, freeze them. Now you
yes.
have meals you can pull out at any point in time. Or batch cook the things that are the most time consuming. So protein is going to be very time consuming and carbs are going to be very time consuming.
Right.
And this way, if you just put it in the fridge, especially if you're someone from works from home, then you can just pull out a little bit of protein, pull out your carb, throw it on a plate, add some salad for your lettuce, drizzle some, seasoning or dressing on it, and bam, fat, done.
We're done.
Make it
Right.
super simple.
Mhm.
So I want to shy away from using the term meal prep. But that being
Yeah.
said, it can be time effective too. And there are ways to make it fun. That's absolutely something we can go into. I mean, throw on a podcast, put on a TV show, get it done in an hour, get your kids involved.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to
Yeah.
be painstaking. Don't even do it on a Sunday. Meal prep on a Monday night while you're cooking
Right.
dinner. Like,
Yes.
don't take away your weekend. I think
I
that's also why
know.
we think it's awful. Um, but one of the things we can also think is that I don't have time to cook. I don't have
Right.
time to eat healthy. Now, the individuals you work with, I know that you're already very aware of your finances and where the money is going and your budget is on lock. That being said, how often are we thinking healthy eating is expensive? So then we order the DoorDash or we order the Uber Eats and we're ordering the unhealthy option. The time it takes to
Oh,
get to us is 45, 50 minutes, an hour. It's cold by the time it gets to us. It's not even
right.
the healthiest option that we could choose. And then that adds up too. So we just want to shy away and be really honest with ourselves of where are we paying for convenience and where is that convenience impacting us? And then also, how can we use convenience for our benefit? Because you can absolutely, if time is an issue and busy is just the name of the game, like
Yeah.
we need to be really smart and intentional with our time. Well, you can go and pick up the frozen turkey meatballs, or you can go and pick up the
Yes.
frozen veggies and use them, and it's still time effective, but it's healthy. And so we can think,
Yes.
well, ordering out is going to be easier and it's faster, but it's really not.
There's a meme going around right now where it's like, I don't think they use the brand, but like, let's say it says DoorDash order, like $39.99, delivery fee, $5,
Yes.
whatever the other fees are, another $5, and then the total is $400.95. It's like, how did that get so expensive when I'm ordering 2 people food?
Yeah.
And listen, guy, like, did DoorDash save? Did Uber Eats save a lot of us during the pandemic? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank God for those people who were out there driving around. But they have learned that we now cannot live without that service.
Sure.
And yes, it does feel like it costs $400 freaking dollars every time you order off one of those things because they have added fees since then. So the frozen turkey meatballs, though, oh my gosh, you just flashed me back to my childhood. That is actually something my mom kept in our freezer at all
Oh,
times.
yeah.
At all times. I don't know if they were always turkey. you know, as my parents went through their own health journey. It may have just been like, you know, might have been the beef ones or the beef and pork ones, whatever. But that, if I came home from school, that was like, put 4 little meatballs, 5 little meatballs on a plate, put a little paper towel on top of them, pop them into the microwave, and that like kept me till dinner. Done. Absolutely done. You know, and if there was a night where both,
it doesn't have to be expensive.
Exactly. Sorry, and that was from Costco. That was from BJ's. That was from Sam's Club. It was wherever big warehouse store that you were going to anyway, you know, and that just lived in the freezer. And so I've done that as well too. Also made chili last week because we actually had a little bit of a cold spell here, and froze probably 3 servings of it into an old Tupperware container. And it's sitting in the freezer. And I know that if it gets cool next week or I'm in the mood for it next week, it's going to be there. It doesn't have to be, like you said, I never really thought of it that way, but it doesn't have to be 7 meals of the exact same thing. And that's all you can eat that week.
And
that's crazy.
That's when it starts to feel painstaking, and we can rebel against it because it feels boring and bland. And food is supposed to be fun. Food is a bonding experience. It's how we connect with others. When we think of going to meet a friend for lunch or going to have a coffee date together or the holidays coming in, it brings people together. And I don't know any person who can go the rest of their life, first of all, cutting out carbs, because carbs are delicious. And if you are telling me you can go, I just don't believe you. Like, I just don't trust you. Sorry. But we should look forward to how we eat. We should look forward to nourishing our body. We should get to enjoy food. I take the stance of you can be healthy and have the ice cream, or be healthy and have the pizza, or like whatever your, I don't even want to use guilty pleasure, but I think that's an easy term to comprehend. Whatever I call them non-negotiable are, is whatever that thing that brings you joy, what's indulgent for you. We get to incorporate that in and do so in a way that works for your lifestyle.
Yes. I love it. Well, we have so much more to go through with Shannon. She's going to be back with us 2 more times. This is a special series that we're doing on the podcast. So Shannon, tell everybody where they can find your first download, which we are so thankful for, but basically the grocery guide, is something that explains the rule of 3s and gives you guys something to write on every week. Where can we go for that?
Yeah, so I wanted to make this super simple for you. I wanted it to be something that can walk you through the steps. So it's user-friendly, it's family-friendly, you can keep it on your phone. So I made a meal plan made easy download for you. You can head over to shannonburuchian.com/meal planning. I'm sure we'll put the link in the notes of the episode for you. And it's going to walk you through the rule of 3s. It will have a grocery guide outline with a bunch of protein, veggie, carb, fat, and fruit options. And you can literally just circle them, create your grocery list for the week, bring it with you, screenshot it on your phone, make it super easy, and then take it with you so you know exactly what you're going to pick up to get in, out, and on with your day. So you can just head over to the link there, grab your copy, and then be sure you come and say hi over on Instagram. I'm at Shannon Buruchian, and I would love to hear how it's going for you.
Yes. Thank you so much, Shannon. All right, everybody. As she said, that link will be in our show notes, obviously. And we're going to welcome Shannon back 2 more times, and we've got more topics on the way. So Shannon, we will talk to you next week.
Yes. Can't wait.